Chess is more than a game. It's strategy, it's intelligence, it's friendship. Welcome to my world. Welcome to my channel. The game has just begun.
Hi chess friends, today I'm here to show you 5 problems of chapter 2 of a book of Rosen. This book is so important to learn and play endgame, and if you want to be a great player in chess you have to know some of this endgame. Endgame are so important and allow to win position that could be really difficult to calculate, or allow to draw some positions that could be really difficult to draw. So in this way, if you know some principle, you can't avoid some difficult calculation in the endgame, and normally in the endgame you don't have time to think, because maybe you are in Zeitnot. Zeitnot is when you are run of time and you can't think to move. So it's important to know some principle to move fast. Okay, and now we begin with chapter 2. If you miss other lections, you can come back to my other video of my playlist about the book of endgame. And here you have white pieces, and it's a wonderful problem because seems easy to win for white, but it's not. Because for example, if you play a normal move here with white, like king d6, black has the opposition, now king d8, and now you can push. If you push it, it's a draw because king d8, and if you move this king here, king takes the pawn and it's a draw completely. Okay, if you come here, it's a draw. Black king can't move, so you can't play king d6. If you play king c5, it's the same because king come here, and now after king c7, if you come here, black can play this king c8, and if you play king d6, king d8 again with the opposition like before. So it's incredible. How can you avoid this king c7 and king c7? Because here you can't do nothing. And after king c7 you can only play king d5, because if you don't play king d5 but you go, for example, here, black takes this pawn, king for c6. So seems impossible this problem. You can play king d6 because follow king d8. You can play king c6, king c5 because follow king c7. So it is possible to win in this way for white. Yes. And the solution is amazing. You have to play this wonderful move. This maneuver is called triangulation, and it's simply fantastic, because here you have to play king c4 or king d4, and I will show you why. After, for example, king d4, if black come here, it's a loose position because white can play king c5 and black here can't do nothing, has to move here, but king come here, and now you have to move the king, and it's always winning for white here, because king c8 I push, and now I will promote my pawn. Okay, so if king come here is obviously completely losing position. You have not to push because it's a draw, but you can simply take a pawn, or you can play simply this move, and after king, okay, you promote to a queen. So when you play king d4, black can't play this move, can't play king c7 because follows king c5. So the idea is to force black to play king c7 when your king is not on c5. Okay, this is a way to win. And with triangulation you can do, you play king d4, king has to come here because you can't play king c7, and now if you play this, you lose, you draw again because follow king c7. So here you have to play king to move king c4 or king d5. See, if you play king d4, the king d5, you draw because king can come here. And now if you play again king c5 follows king c7, draw. And if king d6, king e8, draw. Okay, like before. So after king d4, king d8, you have to play this wonderful king c4 triangulation, king d5, king d4, king c4. And if king come here, you play this and you win, like I show you. If king come here, this time you play this, and now if king come here, you play king c5. If king come here, this time is different because you have king d6 and you have the opposition, and after king c8 you can push, and this king has to come here and you will promote to a queen. So with triangulation you can do the same way, king c4, king d4, and after king c8 you play king d5, and now it's the same. You have the possibility to force. I want to play with the computer this position to show you. It's so beautiful. Okay, it's against stockfish 8. For example, I play this, it's a draw. Okay, king c7, I told you. I play king d6, it's a draw. King d8, can you see what stockfish play? But if I play king c4 or king e4, stockfish play king d8, not king c7, because he knows that is losing move. But now I can play king d4, and after stockfish come here, I have this king d5, and now it's a problem. Stockfish come here because knows that king d8 is losing, but I can play king c5, and now I will take this pawn really easily. I can come here or here because I have the position. Now I can push and I will promote to a queen. What a wonderful problem, really impressive. So next, now you have white pieces and you have to win, and you can move only king. So this time you can calculate, but you have to know the rule of opposition, okay, because it's so useful. For example, you have 5 moves, right? You can play king f4, king f3, king f2, king h2, king h3. For example, very easy, king h2, it's a draw obviously because king h4, king for h4 takes this pawn, and it's a pawn for pawn, and one pawn for part, it's a draw. You can do nothing because black king can defend this pawn, so it's a draw. You can't play something like king h2. Okay, it's the same for king f2, it's a draw because after king h4 you can do nothing because this king can defend, okay, his pawn. So if you play king h3, king h3 is really interesting, but here if you look very well, black has a way to draw, because if you move the king, I take your pawn, would be nice. I can continue my game, you can take my pawn. But if you play something like f4, now you will see that it's a draw, because here if white push his pawn like g3 or g4 is not important, follows f capture for g3 and passant, and it's a draw. Okay, it's not important because it's an h pawn. I want to show you this. It's always a draw because my king, black king, remain here, and you can do nothing. How can you? This king. How can you make escape his king, black king, from this square? You can do really nothing. Okay, I know what you're thinking. You can come here to, but king come here. So it's impossible. Okay, so it's the same with g3. Okay, it's a draw. If you play king h2 after f4, you play king h2, black can take this pawn and it's completely draw. You can do nothing with the king, and black king can defend his pawn. So what remain? Remain two moves. Okay, king f3 and king f4. A normal move would be king f4 to take this pawn, but here king for h4, and now black has opposition, and when you take this pawn, simply follows king for g3, king g3, and this pawn will be lost. It's a losing move. The winning move is king f3, because when black captures king for h4, you have the opposition king f4, and here black has only one move because everything is control. h5 only move, and now king can capture and will promote to a queen this pawn. So wonderful. King f3, what a move. And if black here decide not to capture the pawn but to defend his pawn, it's not important, because you can play king f4, and after a move of king you continue to push and you will take this pawn and you will win. So it's really important to play king f3, because this pawn guard g5 square, and king has to capture. After the capture follow king f4. So beautiful. Okay, another problem, pawn for pawn, but white here is winning, but you have to play really careful. You have to do a right move. For example, a normal move here would be like king d6. I want to take the black pawn, normal, but here is losing because black can play this king b5. King b5 is so strong, defends c6 pawn and attack c5 pawns. Okay, so here you can do nothing because you have to move a white king, and king d5 is impossible. d5, the c pawn control d5. You have to move the king. You move the king, you lose your pawn and you lose the game. So you can't play something like king d6 because king b5 is coming. Okay, so what can you do? You have to move your king and come on d6 only when black play king d5. I want to show you. For example, if you play this and black come king b5, it's a losing for black because king d6, and now it's different because it's black to move. And now black has to leave the defense of the c pawn because b6 is controlled by white pawn. So if black come here, I can capture the pawn, king for c6, and you can do nothing. I will promote. So it's so interesting. But there is a problem. If you play king e5, seems a good move. Black can draw in a really nice way. Can play king a5, because if I play king d6, I can play king b5 like before. And if I try to come here, I keep the position. And now I lose. I will lose. I have to move my king. d5 is controlled, so I will lose. So what a move, king a5. It's not important if king come here because black continue to play really good. Not this, because this, yeah, it's a draw because white can simply draw in this way, but it's always a draw because white can come here with the opposition, like I show you, king here, and white has the opposition, and it's a draw. But black can still a draw with this move. Okay, and if king come here like always, I can king come on b4 and it's a draw. So the right move here is king d7 or king f7. It's the same because, sorry about that. Ciao. Ciao. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Okay, the right move here is king d7 or king e7, because if black here decide to play king b5, is always winning. I will play king d6, and now black has to move his king and will lose the defense of his pawn. Okay, and after like king d7 or king e5, is not important if king decide to continue to defend his pawn. The only way to defend his pawn is this, because here I have always king d6, and this time king is far away from reaching b5, so we lose. Now you have to move the king, I will take the pawn. Okay, so king e7 or king d7, always this. It's simple, because you have to use the d6 square, but in the right time. You can't play this because follow this and you will lose. You have to move your king, and but if you waste the time in this way and black come here, you will win. So it's incredible how you can win some endgame. So problem number 4. Now you are white and you have to draw this position. Seems a losing position because your black king is so near to a2 pawn, and this pawn can be pushed. So if you play a normal move like king a7, you try to take this pawn, it's a losing position completely, because black can push. And now what can you do? You continue to push to your king a6, black continue to push, and after this what can you do here? King a4, and now what do you do? Nothing. It's always a draw. Okay, it's always winning for black, so because we'll promote to a queen. So here you have to do to use the opposition, and remember, it's not important if black king take your pawn. When your opponent has a pawn on a file or h file, you can draw. Not always, but you can draw, and I will show you how. You have to play king b7. You attack black pawn, so here black has to move his pawn. Okay, so can't move his king. This way. Black push, and now what do you have to play? Not king b6. Be careful, because now it's like before. If you play king b6, okay, it's like before, without difference. Okay, so and black push, so you have to play king b7, you attack the pawn, and now you have to play king c6. It's wonderful. And if king come here, like, okay, king c6, I try to attack your a2 pawn. King b2, now I play king b5, and you can defend the black can defend his pawn, and it will be a draw. So you have to push again, and now you play this wonderful move, king d5. And I know what you are thinking. I'm going away with my king far away from pawns. I'm crazy? Not, because king here can do an incredible draw, because after king come to reach the a pawn, I will do with my king, and when king capture for a2, this is a draw. It's incredible, but it's a draw. If king come here, I play king b4, I will take your pawn. If king come here, I will play again king b4, I will take your pawn. If you try to play this, okay, it's okay. I play king c2, and now we continue to draw in this way. Your king is blocked by your pawn, and if you try something of difference, it's not important, because I continue to play. If you play something like this, oh, you want to promote to a pawn, I play king b1, and now what can you do? How will be a draw always. Okay, so it's incredible, but it's true. What a move, what a maneuver. King b7, push, king c6, push, king d5. And if black continue to push, is not important, because white continue not with this move. Remember, you have to reach the d3 square. This is so important with opposition. After the king move, you play this. Okay, if you do something like this, you lose opposition, and black seems the same, but it's not the same. Okay, because now you lose. But if you come here with this maneuver, king e4, after king move, you come here, and now it's a draw, because your king is not on c4, but your king is on d3, and you can keep king c2. You can go on king c2. So it's wonderful. I want to show you this with a fight on a computer. Okay, I play with stock fish 8, and I play with white, and I will be able to draw king b7, and black will push to resist. King c6, and black will push. King d5, and black push, try to trick me, but I play king e4. What a move. And now black finds this wonderful move to try to win, but I continue. Can do nothing. He has to come here, but I have to control c2. Black not capture my pawn, so will be a draw. Okay, now king d3, I control c2, it's a draw. Now black has to capture. Okay, not capture, I continue to remain here. If I play something like this, I will lose, because I don't control c2. Can you see that I lose this position? Because after this, black can come here and will promote the pawn. Okay, but if I play king d2 again, it's always losing position. So what a move, really impressive. It's always a draw. So problem number 5, you have white pieces and you have to win. This is so beautiful, and those are time, and you have to capture this pawn. You have the pawn on 6th rank, you want to promote. A normal move here would be like king e7. I want to take your pawn, but it's a draw, because black does the same. Okay, black does the same, you are lucky, because it's winning. Okay, black does the same, it's winning. Okay, for white. Okay, because I will push my pawn. If black does the same, both players are mistaking. Okay, because like always, if I try to play king c5, I will be in delay. After king a7, king c6, you can play king b8, and now you will promote to a pawn. Okay, because I control c7. But if you play this and black plays well, black can draw this endgame, because want to reach c7, and to reach c7 you have not to move your king on b file, but like before, king c3. And it's not important, because king d4 after king c2 is king e5. After king come here, king d6, and now if you take the pawn, it's a draw, because king can't escape from this. Okay, I continue to move my king here. Okay, it's always a draw, and it's not important if I made escape the white king here, because will be always a draw. What can you do now? I come here, what can you do? It's a draw. So it's amazing. So the idea is after this is to have the opposition, because if white play something like this, is black to move, and now black has the opposition and will be a draw like before. Okay, so the winning move is king f6. You reach this pawn but with diagonal square, and now what black plan doesn't work, because after king come here, white can play this wonderful move king d5, and it's losing position for black. Okay, if you play this, black has the position like always, like before, but if you play this, black can't reach this square, has to waste the time, and now you can go to take here the black pawn, and black will be in the lane to take the control of c7 square. Can you see the difference? So I like a lot this endgame. We will study together. So see you soon with another video. Thank you really much to everyone. Remember to subscribe to my channel, and see you soon with another video. Bye. Thank you.